If there's someone in your life who always seemed to step behind, talented, thoughtful, but somehow never arriving on schedule, pay attention. Most people call that wasted potential. They watch this person take the slow road while everyone else races ahead, and they quietly assume he missed his moment. But Carl Jung saw something completely different. He believed the rarest minds aren't built to peak early, they're built to peak deep. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the rarest personality type almost always succeeds late, and why that long, lonely climb isn't a delay. It's the whole design. This type of person shows up in every generation, every culture, every family. He's the kid who was so smart but never applied himself. The colleague who's clearly brilliant but keeps changing direction. The friend who, at 40, suddenly does the thing nobody saw coming. You can spot him by the details. He asks questions other people don't think to ask. He'd rather understand something deeply than win at it quickly. And he carries a quiet sense that his real life hasn't started yet. Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, had a word for what this person is actually doing. He called it individuation, the slow process of becoming who you truly are. And Jung was clear. For the rarest types, that process takes most of a lifetime. We're going to walk through 7 reasons this personality type blooms late and why, when it finally happens, it tends to last. Let's start with the one that surprises almost everyone. For these people, being late isn't falling behind, it's construction. Jung described 2 halves of life. The first half is about fitting in, building a mask, an ego, a role the world rewards. But the rarest types are wired for the second half, where the real work begins. Depth, meaning, and authentic selfhood. They underperform early not because they're weak, but because the shallow goals of the first half were never theirs to begin with. So if you know someone who seemed to waste their 20s searching, understand what they were really doing. They weren't lost. They were laying a foundation deep enough to hold something the rest of us never attempt to build. But laying a foundation is just the surface. What's actually happening inside this person's mind while everyone else sprints ahead? That's where it gets fascinating. This type doesn't think in straight lines. He thinks in layers. Jung identified a cognitive pattern he called introverted intuition, a way of processing the world beneath the surface, connecting patterns most people never notice. It's powerful, but it's slow to mature. The mind has to gather decades of raw material before it can synthesize anything useful from it. Early on, it just feels like confusion and a head full of questions with no answers. That's why this person often feels out of step at 25 and unstoppable at 45. The machinery was always there. It simply needed time and experience to switch on. Now here's where it gets more complicated, because this gift comes with a price most people, even this person himself, don't fully understand. Here's the part that complicates everything. This person can't fake it for a paycheck. Jung believed the rarest types are driven by an inner compass, a need for meaning that overrides the need for approval. When something feels hollow, they can't force themselves to chase it, even when it's the smart career move. So they turn down the quick wins everyone else grabs. They wait, sometimes for years, for work that actually matters to them. To the outside world, that looks like indecision. From the inside, it's integrity. He isn't refusing to succeed. He's refusing to succeed at the wrong thing. In this next part, the people around him get it completely wrong almost every time. To almost everyone watching, the slow climb looks like failure. Developmental psychologists have a name for this mismatch. They call it being off time, out of sync with the timeline society expects. Graduate by 22, established by 30, settled by 35. The rarest type breaks every one of those checkpoints, and the people around him fill the silence with their own story. He's lazy, he's afraid, he never lived up to it. So if there's someone in your life carrying that label, the one who had so much promise, know that the label is usually wrong. He was never failing the timeline. The timeline was simply never built for a mind like his. If you're the kind of person who looks past the timeline and asks what's really going on underneath someone's life, including maybe your own, and you've made it this far, that tells me something about you. It would mean a lot if you hit subscribe. We put out videos like this every week, real psychology, explained in a way that finally makes sense. Now here's the part that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Here's what no one sees. The long road has a cost, and it's heavy. For years, this person lives inside a quiet ache, watching peers pass milestones while he's still searching. Jung warned that when the second half journey gets blocked or rushed, it can collapse into what we'd now recognize as depression and deep self-doubt. The constant comparison wears at him. Some nights, he genuinely believes he was just born wrong. So if this is someone you love, or if this is you, understand that the patience you're seeing isn't effortless. It's been paid for, year after year, in moments of doubt nobody ever witnessed. But this is the root underneath all of it. At the deepest level, this person isn't wired to arrive. He's wired to become. This is the heart of Jung's individuation, the lifelong process of integrating every hidden part of yourself into one whole person. For most people, it stays in the background. For the rarest types, it's the entire point of being alive. Their psyche refuses to settle for a borrowed identity, so it keeps dissolving and rebuilding them until the real self finally emerges. That takes decades. It can't be rushed, because the becoming is the success. So the restlessness this person felt his whole life was never a malfunction. It was the deepest part of him refusing to stop short of who he was meant to be. Which brings us to the last one, and honestly, the most important. And here's the reward for all of it. When the success finally comes, it doesn't crumble. Because it was never built on luck or hype or a lucky early break. It was built on a foundation poured slowly over decades, self-knowledge, real skill, and a meaning that can't be taken away. Jung believed this is exactly why late bloomers tend to create their most enduring work in the second half of life. They're not chasing the win anymore. They've simply become someone capable of carrying it. So the person who looked behind for years, he wasn't running a race, he was losing. He was building something the early winners never had time to build, a success that finally fits the person he spent a lifetime becoming. So the next time you see someone who seems a step behind, talented, thoughtful, still searching, long after everyone else has settled, you'll know what you're actually looking at. You're looking at someone whose mind works in layers, not straight lines. Someone who couldn't bring himself to chase a hollow win, even when it cost him years. Someone who was quietly becoming a whole person while the world mistook his patience for failure. He isn't behind. He's built deep, and the late success that finds him won't be an accident. It'll be the most earned thing in the room. If this sounded like someone you know, or someone you've been, I made a video on why the deepest thinkers spend so much of their lives feeling like outsiders. It's right here when you're ready.